All right, ready? All right, I'm gonna welcome everybody to the February 18th work session on our ordinance revision of our package sales. If I could get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor, aye? Aye. I have it. Well, Jason's with his family this afternoon. He wasn't able to make it, but I've invited some knowledge here of the business, and we got the sheriff's department. You're gonna, what? You pointing at?
And the press.
And the press here. I understand the sheriff had some concerns. You wanted to,
Yes, sir.
There's a letter, if y'all look in your notebooks, there's a letter from the sheriff.
yeah, the letter. If you'll go to your back, I think it's all the way in the back, isn't it?
Page 56.
I think his biggest concern was the surveillance system.
Surveillance systems and the hours of operation.
Sure.
Those were the only two concerns that we had. Just so that the board knows, in my conversations with Jason, we thought the simplest way to do and be fair about the security cameras was just come up with a list of the minimum technical requirements that the county should require these businesses to achieve. And we thought about the best way to do that was, of course, with the package stores, that would be a new application.
Mm-hmm.
But to also make sure that the existing convenience stores were able to live up to that standard at some point in time. So everybody is playing with the same deck of cards.
Sure.
What we decided to do that might be the best way to do that is, other than what's in the proposed ordinance that y'all are going to consider, is some simple, basic technical requirements for a security system, such as, and I think you should all have the letter that we sent over, and do this in a letter format, so the letter can change based upon technological advances in the future, where you didn't have to come back and change the ordinance itself. And the first one would be simply produce an image in 1080p, high definition, that's 1920 by 1080 pixels, resolution or greater. Security system, camera system must operate at a minimum of frame rate of 15 frames per second, with real time being 30 frames per second. Security camera must be able to store 30 days of video footage from all cameras before overwrite, and only on current storage devices capable of high definition retention. All required stores must have a minimum of one camera per register located near eye level for facial recognition, one camera per customer entrance, and one overall security camera inside and out, one of each. They can clearly record faces, clothing, vehicles of all people coming and going into the actual location in all actual lighting conditions. And the last part was, as part of any license application or license renewal where a security camera system is required, we would be more than happy. We're already doing the background investigations on all the new applications, is actually go out once a year upon renewal and just look at those systems and make sure they're recording the areas that we would require, these, just which are listed here, and make sure they're working systems, operable, and just sign off on it. That could be as simple as adding another page to the application itself, and we'll sign off on it, and y'all have got the information that you need, that every location is abiding by both county ordinance and the security camera concerns. And other than that, it's my understanding there is no pouring license being considered in Jones County. So the sales hours of operation we just think this might be the simplest way to do it is to run across the board for both. Most of our convenience stores now close at 10 p.m.
Right.
I don't think that's out of the way for a package store to close at 10 p.m. and no package sales on Sunday whatsoever. So at 10 p.m. on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Monday morning would be a no sale term, and 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night for those locations that located in Jones County, wherever they may be. That's what we think is probably an easier way to keep up with who is allowed to be open and who's not. And I think there's some state requirements in the of when somebody could actually be on the premises as well that they might be abide by. But other than that, we have no other recommendation for any of it. That's simply up to the county commission for that.
Any comments?
I agree with the camera systems. That's important to me for their safety also. But, I mean, have we really, the starting opening hours, do we really want them open at 7 a.m.?
It was just a recommendation. Y'all can open it for regular business hours or not. I wouldn't do it before that, and I would, of course, I'm not a proponent of either one. I just think the closing time
Right.
is where we're most assured at. And the cameras was also in an attempt to make it a fair across the board, not just for package stores,
Right.
but convenience stores. Most of the convenience stores already have this technology.
Yeah.
There were some here, maybe a couple years ago, that would record onto a VHS tape, and they would save a tape for every 30 days, and it just was horrible footage. We have means of looking at videotape now to try to identify suspects. That's a lot easier to do now, provided we have a good, a decent picture to look at to begin with. And these are minimal. There's 4K now, which is even better, so once those change in the future, the board may consider to maybe moving that up a little bit, 5, 10, 15 years when technology catches up.
Earl, got a question. I've dealt with, I don't want to call it the business in making, as far as camera system, name brand, be a common name, but domestic hard drive worked a year or two and it failed. And I had to wait a period of time to get a new one, and it's good enough clarification that I can read a tag at 100 feet moving, so it's high end, but it was a domestically produced hard drive. It failed. They had to get another one, but it took a period of time to get it. What is your recommendation for these stores? Same
Yes.
thing happened. I know it needs to be
Yeah,
done
it's first thing, it's already in the policy or the ordinance itself that they have to notify us upon any downtime on the security cameras. And quite frankly, downtime on security cameras, unless they have a replacement, they can put in place would probably be downtime on their business.
This wasn't known until you went back to try to retrieve, and then it was like, there's nothing there. To look at the monitor in the room, it shows it's recording, but to go back to the hard drive, it's flatlined, it's dead.
And to answer your question, I think and that's another reason why we would like to do the yearly renewal, so we can go in, check everything and make sure it is working. At worst, we may lose a year's worth, but we're trying not to overstep any bounds they may have as far as business is concerned, but yet we'll be able to go back and look and see if their equipment is working, if it's clean, if it's able to render an identifiable video footage, and then move on from there.
Sure.
Most of the cameras we're putting in now have a health status on your DVR or on your camera system, so it'll know if it's not recording.
Right.
It'll tell you that it's not recording. And this may be, a couple of questions that may be for the attorney. If we're, when we create this ordinance, the final ordinance, can we put in there for when we renew or when we go for the licensing part of it? I'm trying to figure out how to word this properly. When we talk about the camera systems, if they go to change in the future, can that be the minimum be put in the ordinance, and then the licensing part of it, the renewal part of it may change, meaning the license form that you fill out?
Or there could be a reference to, as established by the Jones County Sheriff's Office in Exhibit A, and you could always swap out as upgrades are made, your Exhibit A.
Yeah, and we put that in the letter
Yeah.
in the last
Well,
part.
I was thinking about, instead of having it on the ordinance side where we have to come back through us, it may take
Yeah.
two meetings.
Right.
Have it in the license part of it, so that when you go to renew your license, if it changed from last year to this year.
It must
the
comply with
form-
the new requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
form-
further answer
yeah.
your question, I wouldn't, if that letter or those requirements would be placed into the permitting,
Right.
as the last page, we can actually put a place on there to sign off on it when, they go and check and the, generally, what the problems that we've had with video footage from some of the convenience stores is they put them up so high, the Sharon saying, you can't even see a face.
Yeah, if they're wearing a hat.
So that was we wanted to put them down a little bit more eye level, so you're looking more at eye level, so, but we can easily add that to the application.
Yeah. And I'm not so much concerned about the hours of operation, that's usually dictated by sales. I mean, most people that run a business, they're probably not gonna sell before 10 o'clock in the morning anyway, so I don't know that they would open up at 7 a.m. and not have any business, but, so I don't think that's that big of a deal. The other question is, does this, when we talk, he mentioned pour licenses, and I know in the city, they're gonna, they're having some different things in the city with pouring based on sales of food versus alcohol sales and all that. How does that relate to this ordinance when it's package sales? It's two totally separate?
Yes.
And this, the vote that went before the public had nothing to do with pour license?
No.
Okay. So nothing changes if you built a restaurant in the outskirts of Jones County, nothing changed your ratio of sales versus alcohol? food
Unless
sales
you all
and alcohol.
change it.
I think the actual sample ordinance we had listed that at 75% of their overall proceeds coming from other than alcohol sales.
Our ordinance starts on 30, page 30.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon.
So just for clarification, most sheriff's departments have this requirement and they're that involved with a package sales operation?
And convenience stores, wherever there is a requirement for those types of businesses to have a security system in place.
All right.
It wasn't just limited to package stores, it was package stores, convenience stores.
So this has been, y'all have been doing this for our convenience stores that sell
Yeah.
from however long ago?
Well, it's new for package stores because they don't
Right.
exist yet, but all convenience stores have a security system. And we generally, although it's not been specified in ordinance passed by the commissioners, we generally are able to get some access to that. The new ordinance will also increase that time frame where we don't have to wait for 2 days to get that videotape. So somebody on hand, on site, will have to be able to fully operate the system, and within an hour, I believe is what the ordinance states, we have produced that video footage.
I'm not
And
such a,
just, didn't mean to cut you off, but just basically the requirements that are in the letter came basically straight from Bibb County's ordinance.
gotcha. So in Bibb County, if a DVR goes down, the business has to shut down?
Well, if they don't have a ready, available replacement for that DVR, they may have a replacement for that DVR. I just would not recommend you going 2 weeks or 2 months without that down doing business.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Right, 2
So-
weeks, I'm okay with, putting a
Yeah.
time limit, but I'm not I'm like, if their DVR goes down, they gotta shut the doors. I'm not okay with that. You know, having a reasonable time in.
I'm absolutely fine with a reasonable time
Okay,
frame,
got it.
whatever the commission may think would be a reasonable time frame. I wouldn't push it back too far, because we all know when bad things are gonna happen, they're gonna happen at the perfect time,
Oh,
so.
for sure, but, and we, unfortunately, with whatever is going on with
Right.
tariffs and everything else,
Right.
you might order it on Monday, but you might not see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's a reasonable time frame for having it repaired. I think they need to notify us.
I'm agree with that.
Notify us as soon as
24 hours.
possible. They have that, so we can take some extra steps to keep an extra check on that
Yep,
location.
yep, I'm okay with
But
that.
I think that within, just throw something out, within 72 hours or, just to be able to have something
Yeah. I'm gonna,
reasonably able to take over or fix or serve that problem.
yeah, I think if it goes down, they need 24 hours notice and then 72 to make an order.
That sounds
right?
fine.
'Cause I think that's
Right,
says
yeah,
that we're doing something.
that'd be fine.
Okay.
That's all you had?
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions for the sheriff's department?
I read one of the rules, and they can't sell lottery at the liquor store, or can they?
Well, it's my understanding they can't, they cannot. But in this, of course, now I think the commission can be more restrictive on what state law is, but it can't be less restrictive. So state law that you might have access to, some of those statutes spells out that some of the stuff that you can sell, but I think the commission can deviate from that if it so chooses. It just can't be more lenient than what state law is.
No
And
lottery,
there's a
no
sec-
gambling
No
machine?
gambling, betting,
Yeah.
operating
Right.
games,
Yeah, other
punch
types
bowl
of-
slot
I
machines.
think, I've seen where no tobacco products, because I think you're trying to discern between a convenience store and a package
Right.
store.
So I got a call last week from a friend who is interested in specialty stuff. And let's say he's interested in the cognacs, right? In a specialty shop setting, is there an opportunity, because we have a no pour, right, where they have samples?
If it's for sale, I would imagine probably not, yeah, but, I don't, the sample is, we probably require a pouring license.
Right, and the same thing with wine tasting, like literally, if somebody had a specialty wine shop and they offered wine
Probably
tasting.
want no consumption on the premises.
Yep. I don't think we want to have any consumption.
You don't want any consumption on
And
that
that's
premises.
how they, I won't say get around it, but that's how they do it in, I know up in the wineries and all in North Georgia and a lot of the meaderies and everything else. They'll have a wine tasting, you sample the wine, and if you like this one, got a bottle, you can buy it and take with you. But I think we have it in here with no consumption on premises. We
Yeah,
probably
you just need to be able to safely operate a vehicle away from that premises.
Listen, I follow you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was the call. But I know when I go to North Georgia or I go to some other place, there is the whiskey place right there, and they're going to offer you a nice flight for whatever. And most of us are walking, so it's not a big deal. But it's a huge sales pitch because you've sampled it. Now you can take your jar home with you.
Yeah,
But-
I think that's a different business model though than a package store.
I follow you. I'm just asking questions because people have asked me.
Yeah, because they do that with the growlers too, but that's usually in a tap room or bar or something.
All right. So if there was a specialty shop, that's not an option. All right.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
I go through this and I've got 2 invites I had come in, with knowledge of, that can probably help us on the store side. I had one call that, his suggestion on square footage was possibly 3,000 square foot with $500,000 worth of inventory. I don't know what $500,000, I'm just looking for suggestions on y'all. The board, we did a, was it a doodle poll? Okay, I said it right. We had it was tied for 1,000 square foot and 2,500 square foot.
And the tie was because we didn't, if I had a choice, I would have selected no square footage requirement. We didn't have that as an option.
Oh, okay.
Are we talking about for the storage, right?
No, this is for the store.
Store total.
The store.
Yeah, and on both of those questions, we didn't have an option, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you share y'all's thoughts on store size inventory? I mean, the one I had was 3,000 square foot with $500,000 worth of inventory. I don't, Commissioner Kish and I said, we don't even know
Yeah,
what
what does that
$500,000.
equate to?
Well, 3,000 is 30 by 100, so
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big liquor store.
Yeah.
that's bigger
We're
than
not like a
this.
Macon Beverage Depot outlet.
Right, I don't think Jones County's ready for
Okay.
these massive discount outlets.
Sure.
I just don't see the volume for liquor being there. And I think the actual operator of the liquor store, if he's doing well, he'll expand
Sure.
or he'll move it to a bigger building. But, you know, you get in there tying up $500,000 in about 1,500 square feet, because these bottles are expensive.
Yes. And you have to buy it all up front.
Yeah.
There's no
There's-
credit.
There's no sending nothing back. Once you buy it, it's yours. If it's dead stock, it's still yours. And, you know, y'all mentioned something about the hours of operation and people coming in at 7 in the morning.
Do they need to identify
Just remember
themselves?
something. You gotta get deliveries sometime, and they don't usually deliver in the afternoons.
Sure.
So, I agree, I don't think any liquor store needs to be open at 7 in the morning. However, by 9, you're gonna be accepting deliveries.
Oh, yeah.
They also stated, speaking about deliveries,
Could I get you to come up talking to the microphone and introduce
I'll
yourself?
bring the microphone to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Everybody, we got people back home watching, so introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. I'm James Barron. I'm here to talk to you about anything I can help y'all with. But anyway, getting back to the hours, I mean, you're going to have to be in there earlier to accept deliveries. And, you know, I don't see any liquor store need to be open after 10, to be honest with y'all.
No, neither.
I'll be honest with you. I don't. That's just my personal opinion. Y'all mentioned something about the back room. I want you to know, every liquor store I have ever known, it goes straight to the floor. They just drop it on the floor, back out the door. When you're slow, you're labeling it, sticking it on the shelf. Small time operation, but it works well.
Right.
So,
I was just trying, like I said, I know, I was trying to get some feedback of some people that could tell us, and you're giving us some great feedback as far as, you know, the big beverage outlets versus, like I said, you and I were joking about the
yeah,
down the road operation back in the day.
everything's changed. And, you
A
know,
lot of things changed over the year.
And that's something else. I mean, you know, just reading all these ordinances, and you gotta remember, somebody said they got them from Bibb County. That's not a good place to get anything from, y'all. I mean, I hate to be that way.
Well, and you know, I've just sat through a leadership class the last 2 days, and this is one of the things that came up in that leadership class.
Liquor stores?
Macon Bibb County, one of the things is that they needed to go through their ordinances about how many liquor stores, package stores that they allow, because they're on every corner. And it's just, she was like, y'all need to think about that when you're looking at this.
Well, and a note, I'll let you all know, the sort of random survey, you all were between 4 and 8, and so we picked a random number of 6 for the county. Cherokee County, what do they have, probably 200,000 people?
Yes.
They have a limit of 3 for their county. So just to
needs to be
sort of,
One per district.
Well,
If that.
I guess let's stop and think. Everybody's familiar with Jones County. Now, let me back up and ask a question. Are liquor store sales gonna be allowed in the city limits of Gray? Okay. Name the places that are eligible, C1, C2, C3, in this county that will be eligible.
Well, that's something that we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
That's on for tonight.
But what I'm fixing to get at is, when you look at that,
You kind of see where you're gonna put the.
how many liquor stores can you put? I mean, I don't think we need one up Highway 11 in Bradley, Georgia.
You might, who knows?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Well, you won't make no money,
Probably not.
and Earl and his
Well,
team will be really busy.
And if they're too remote, you're gonna have trouble.
You're gonna have problems.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm getting to. I mean, I'm not here to set the number of liquor stores, but I can just tell you, I don't see 6 places in Jones County.
Don't either.
I mean, I could sit here and only name like 3.
Well, that's exactly what I did when that question was asked. And I was wanting to answer between 2 and 4, because I thought Gray Highway at Joy Cliff, 49 in Joy Cliff,
I
and then
put 4.
other outside of Gray, whether it's in Haddock or, right in the middle of Haddock.
I
or-
said Haddock too.
High traffic
that-
arteries. is
That's
probably-
3, but if growth happens, at the bypass, outside of the bypass, that could maybe be the 4th one, but that's growth in the future. But, I mean, that was the 2 to 4 that I was thinking. And going back to the square footage we were talking about, this room is 2,000 square foot.
You think so?
Well, counting by the 2 foot two square is 24 by 80.
No.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. That's 40 foot wide
Okay.
by 80 foot long.
Well, you okay, you're good.
12.
4 times 8 is 32. I mean, not 80
Mm-hmm. Come
foot
on, you
long.
want
it
Jones
is
County to use your fingers.
60.
There's no even-
Yeah, I gotta count some more. Hold on.
And that's why I had a problem with square
There's,
footage. because
most
our
of the liquor
liquor
stores in
are
Macon
smaller.
though aren't even
Half
this
the
big.
size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be open and honest, Chairman. I put 1,500 on my square footage and 500 on a storage room, and 2 to 4 in the county.
And I
Think I
put,
put-
But
and I
that's
put,
still as big as this room, which is
Half-
bigger
half
than
the
most
size.
Macon, Georgia.
Half the size of this room is
Right.
yeah, 1,500.
Minimum square footage?
I don't think
Yes.
we should play with the minimums right now, because we don't know.
Like I said, we're trying to get some feedback. Y'all know, like I said, you know,
Well, just remember, you can always up the requirements, but you could probably never downscale
Sure.
the requirements. So,
so what's your thoughts on the square footage? Just not even,
I
not this
mean,
big?
yeah, you gotta remember now, if you're gonna put in a liquor store and you're gonna halfway do it right,
Sure.
and I'm assuming everybody's been in the modern version of a liquor store where they got a beer cave that's probably this whole area, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're looking at 1,500 square feet should be plenty. But, you know, as far as requiring a back room, I don't think you need any storage area other than your office with the video surveillance system is locked up. And so that's just my opinion, but
I know we've got some stuff we gotta, straighten out on legal before we can sign, talking with Jason, he had some stuff that he wants to, go over with you on, if he hadn't already started on some of the ordinance. He was questioning it. I think he talked to the sheriff about it, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay, some stuff that we need to look at on the ordinance, so it won't be ready, I mean, we won't be able to put it,
Well, you're gonna have to do all your zoning stuff anyway before you can
Sure.
move forward with this.
right.
yeah, but also there's other things in here when we're talking about modernizing different things. I mean, look, this is 2025. The letter about the signage, the part about signage, I mean, LED signs are here to stay. These block with little backlit stuff is kind of crazy. And when I was looking at it, it was very non-specific on some of the signage, whether that was required on the outside or the inside. But, you know, when you get into these LED signs, the schools got them, every gas station's got them. They're green and red or blue or orange or whatever. So I think some verbiage on the signage probably needs to be redone. And, you know, it needs to state something like blinking or, you know, not allowed strobing and all that crazy stuff that's over on Houston Avenue with LEDs going, spinning around and all that stuff. But that's just my opinion.
Sure.
I think there was some confusion too with this law that's passed, because a lot of people think that restaurants now around the county are gonna be able to have pouring license. And, you know, like my end of the county over in Genesco Shopping Center, we're being choked to death. We can't have a pouring license out there, but River North can have one. The city of Gray can have one, you know? And we're sitting right down a mile from Macon, Georgia, where they've got one. So I would strongly consider, or ask the commissioners to consider maybe a variance added in here for pouring sales, while we're redoing all of this. I mean, I think it would all be tied together in the end anyway. Let's see,
With that, so that would be like in a restaurant setting.
exactly, like a Mexican restaurant, you know what I'm saying? Anything, something like that. Wings and flings, but you know, again, you need that ratio. It don't need to be a bar, it needs to be a restaurant that serves alcohol. So, I mean, and whatever that percentage is beyond me. I just know that most restaurants don't have a problem with that, so. Let's see, what else did I have? Oh, yeah. I agree with y'all. Drive-through windows on a liquor store is not safe. However, it's here to stay. It's not going nowhere. Most stores now, if they can swing it, have a drive-through liquor store. I mean, window. So I just wanted to state that because, I mean, things are going modernization. We're fixed to be in the industrial revolution of technology, whether we like it or not. It's here. You know, they've already got a robot bringing you your food and drinks up here in Milledgeville at a place called Letty's. Blew me away. It can take your order, it can go to the kitchen, it can bring it back. So, but anyway, let's see. Also, in there's also something, Earl, that as a business owner, I wanted to address. And basically it states that if the operator of that liquor store has to call the police department 3 times in a year, it can be deemed as a public nuisance and be shut down. Well, if that's the case, I'm not gonna call the law. I'll lose my business. I mean, I'm being punished because I need help. And that's what Jones County does, and they do it really well, trust me. So I believe that the verbiage in there needs to state something that if a similar occurrence continued to exist on the premises over time, with it being something to do with the operator, then it can be deemed as a public nuisance. If the operator has been warned, look, you need to have better street lights out here. You see what I'm saying? But don't punish the owner because he needs help. So, I mean, we get that enough in Bibb County. I can't even call the police department, I have to call the fire department. At least they show up. So, I understand.
I think that's
what I say.
That y'all show up.
That's why I got one house left in Bibb County, and they get ready to pay me off, and that's why I got out of Bibb County.
Oh, and as far as the camera system, I'm all with him.
Right.
You know, we try to keep our camera system state of the art, because these guys run by occasionally, hey, I need to know which way the car went. You know, and I've mentioned Earl several times, why don't you just link it in the sheriff's department, and y'all can video it, look at it, run it back or whatever.
I think the school system has all the cameras there that they need to look at.
Okay?
Come on.
Just to address that.
Yeah, come on, Earl, so everybody can hear.
It's my understanding that that's, piece in the law about the 3 times was if you violate Georgia state law.
So the owner of the premises?
The owner of the premises violates Georgia state law 3 times, it can be revoked. I don't believe it's.
So it's not for a
calling-
nuisance.
Calling for help is not one of those instances.
Well,
It's
the way
where-
it's written, it's like,
Well, you probably could, that should be maybe addressed as that, but I don't think it was, you call us for help 3 times. No, it's if you violate Georgia state law. The board may recall just a few months ago, there was a young lady down on Shirley Drive that sold alcohol to some undercover police officers at least 3 times, and she was shut down because of that. That was the
Do
meaning.
y'all want them to have to violate the law 3 times to get shut down?
Well, I think after the first time it comes to us, right, when they renew it, isn't that what happened with the other one?
How did we do that last one? I mean, y'all called her 3 times before you finally lost.
You did, but I don't think I don't know that was necessarily something in the ordinance itself. It's just something that we did to show a pattern of that behavior.
Okay.
Not necessarily to violate an ordinance.
That's what I'm saying. Do you want in the ordinance that it has to be 3 times before it can be deemed a nuisance? Or, I mean, just if there's a violation, it can be deemed,
Yeah.
or it may be deemed, and then you can determine the severity of the violation.
But it would be per state law,
Yeah.
I mean, I think anytime someone sells alcohol to a minor, your license should be revoked. You know, I don't have any variance, any vagueness, or any play in my expectation with that. No different than the young lady that came up here. She sold alcohol to a minor. I'm absolutely all about revoking your license. There's a difference between omission, where they know and they could have done it, or they didn't know, but kids have gotten creative and have made fake IDs. That's the exception, right? Where it looks like a real Georgia ID and they did their best, you know, and you scanned it, but
That's been going on for a long time.
exactly, you have no control over that. But this person looks like a minor, right? And you made that mistake or omission, whatever you want to call it. But again, I have zero tolerance. I didn't go in the liquor store when I was a kid, so, you know, I don't want anybody to let my kids
I
in
don't
there.
know that it's fair, but I would, in all fairness, if you have a business and you have an employee and that employee makes a mistake, do you lose that because of that employee? Or do you make that correction and then have some type of leeway amongst the board to make sure that that never happens again? I mean, those types of,
I
mean, if that was the case in every fast food joint that I ever went to, got my order wrong,
Yeah.
technically
I
it's a
don't think it
mistake.
should be shall,
No, I don't.
but
I think it
may.
may.
I think Ashley's right. I think it's, we should have that opportunity. If somebody breaks the law,
Right.
then it needs to be looked at.
Right.
And it can be determined by the situation, because like I said, if Mr. Barron has an employee that did something illegal, and then he fires that employee on the spot, why should we shut his business down or take his license when
Right,
he,
I
when he
just didn't
solved
think
the
that
problem?
we should
right
cut the
then?
legs out of the commissioner for
Yeah.
having to make some type of inquiries as to what took place, and I know it's strange coming from me because, but we are, and it's like what you said about the Bibb County. On the security cameras, we could go in for days and talk about what technical aspects of a certain system may require or you is able to go out and get. We're concerned about what the system can do and how it can help us solve a potential crime that might take place on the premises. And so that's where we come from, and we left that general enough that we can go in and look and see what the video camera looks like, how it's gonna help us do that. But as far as the flash drives and the gigabytes and all that stuff, that's for the individual to make a decision on what they think just fits best for their business. And we didn't want to get into that, so.
I think there needs to be sort of a form that once you all send somebody out and it meets specs, that, you know, the day, who inspected it, it can be completed to go in the file.
And I agree with you. We could utilize that form or create another form to add to the application process. And I would also suggest that we make a strong recommendation that the applications process start 30 days before that December 31st date that it's supposed to expire. So at least we have 30 days to go out and do that before it expires, and the board can go ahead and make whatever decisions it needs to make. But don't wait till December 30th to come turn in your your application to renew, knowing that we're gonna take at least a couple weeks for us to get out and go check these things.
In the sheriff department currently doing our beer and wine license now. So we'll
Yes.
continue letting them.
Yeah, well, I say, part of that, we would just continue
Sure.
to do that and,
Sure.
and so forth, so.
So we won't be able to finalize it. I'm sure it's gonna take one more, work session to just go through and make sure we've got everything, cause I know, Mr. Risner said there were some things that he was working with the sheriff on that needs to be, tweaked, on the ordinance that we've got in this package.
So Chairman, did we agree on no requirement for a storage?
Yes.
Square footage.
So no square footage requirement for the storage.
No.
What about, do you want a square footage requirement for the store or no?
No.
Let's say over 1,500.
Over 15, yeah.
15.
Because I don't want somebody doing it out of the
15 minimum.
garage at their house.
How about that one right there at the line next to
County line.
HUD's? Like that one's
County
been there.
Connie Hudson's,
How big is that? I mean, it's been there my entire life.
It's 800 square
I was
foot,
gonna
maybe.
say,
probably is.
But he,
Yeah.
I think he uses HUD's as his storage facility too,
Well,
because he owns both parcels.
I don't think he does enough business to require storage. I mean,
so the requirement would be double the size of that.
I'm not
You
in
think
the square foot
1,500 would be a
requirements.
fair square footage on the store?
I don't think anybody's gonna have one less than that.
I don't
Sure.
either.
What about, there's, inventory requirement, do we want, nothing on that?
Business will dictate what they need. And I'm sure initially, I would probably have a heart attack if I had to put $500,000 on the floor, not knowing how well it's gonna do, but, because they still,
You better start drinking.
first customer.
What your customers are gonna want.
Yeah.
Got a lot of scotch, it wouldn't be much.
That's covered in the ordinance too.
I
Yeah.
have a question though, actually, if we, because we don't want to deter businesses from coming to Jones County, but just, I'm gonna give a scenario. It's in the county, there's an existing building that's 1,300 square feet. And they come to us and say, I want to buy this building, I want to make a liquor store out of it. It's in a great location. Is there an opportunity for a variance? I'm assuming the board can give a variance on something like that. Or are there no variances in the, for an ordinance?
I don't know because I mean, I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Because I don't want it to be $14.99 and let's go, nope, too bad. It's not $1,500, you're done. And then they go,
Do
well,
it at 1,000?
heck with it then. Good luck.
Or do you want to do it at 1,000? Do you feel like in the key locations that sort of we all have recognized, those readily available buildings, I mean, there's some that are probably not 1,500 square feet.
I kind of think that somebody putting a new business is probably not going to worry about the minimum too much. They're going to build what they need.
Right. But
So,
how many are going to go
thinking
in
about it,
brand new?
Yeah, I don't want to pigeonhole somebody with but I'd also don't want to, like I said, a 8 by 10 brick building. Because we hadn't even determined about the,
Hold on.
Drive-through
I wanna-
windows yet.
Just for giggles.
They're gonna
I'm
set a
pulling
case
up
on the floor and just
parcel
start-
that I would think would be
you run out,
perfect.
grab another one.
Let's see what it is.
I think we ought to let the business owners decide. I don't think we'll get a 600 square foot liquor store application. I think that would be kind of silly. But I think based on existing structures, when I think of my district, they're gonna be smaller. They're not gonna be 1,500, 3,000 square feet. If it turns into that, fantastic, that means we're selling more liquor and we're getting more tax money, as opposed to giving it away to Bibb County and Baldwin County. But I think that the business will decide that, and if it needs to expand and it goes beyond 1,500, 3,000, then great, they've done a good job. But I think to place that requirement on somebody up front to have a 1,500 square foot store or a 3,000 square foot store, that's a lot of risk for a business.
How about McDonald's drive-through?
Do you want?
Yes, yes or no?
Okay, wait.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No square
1,500.
footage requirement.
All right, so we're at 1,500 or no?
Oh, now they said 1,000, because they worried about 1,500.
We just put it at 1,000,
Put it at
sure.
1,000.
I'll put whatever y'all want me to put.
She says she ain't making decisions, she's writing down.
I'm
She's
just
waiting
making
on you.
notes.
1,000 square foot
John, you all right with 1,000?
consensus.
Minimum, I mean, yeah, no less than 1,000, because,
Wendy?
I mean, you're getting into a double-car garage, less than that.
Those sometimes were the best joints to get your alcohol from.
Yeah.
I don't know,
All right, Wendy's still at 1,500.
1,000.
Is that, okay,
That's three.
we're not finalizing this right
Look,
now.
there's
No.
three, I
We're
mean,
just
got
getting, we're
three.
getting a consensus.
You got 3
John's
for
at 1,000,
1,000.
you at
Do y'all
1,000?
wanna go, do y'all wanna, individually go on field trips to local liquor stores and
No.
I don't drink.
1,000.
estimate their
I'm
square
about- I
footage?
don't think 1,000 is gonna hurt us.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, 1,000,
Okay.
do I have at least 3 saying
yes,
1,000?
you
Yes.
have 4.
Okay,
You know, one
Now-
holdout.
number in the county, if we had talked about
No
Cherokee
more
has
than
3.
4.
No more than 4.
1 per district?
Yeah. Or I wouldn't say 1 per district, because there might be
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you may not
In
have.
some
Because you
districts,
only
you
done,
may-
you're gonna split
Might have
it.
4 of them in District 1.
I don't think that's okay.
Okay,
You know, I think,
Per the county.
so no more than 4.
I don't think per county. I think, you know, as a district, there should be a minimum. And then I think if any district decides to get more, because you don't know, again, you're gonna cap this county on 4. And I'm not a fan of liquor stores everywhere, just for the record. But I think 8 is probably the max, and I think whatever you do, it should be a limit per district. You know, if we're gonna do 2 per district, so be it. But I don't think 4 per county, and then my district may not get 1. That's not okay.
You'll get a lot more before I will.
I'm just saying.
I got one road that's potential.
Hey,
I mean, we know that ordinances should be systematically reviewed. So I think if we got growth where we get more than 4 or up to 4, you know, because I think Mr. Brown was right. You don't have a whole lot of potentials. The 2 best places are in District 4.
Yeah.
on 49, right, and 1 on
Gray Highway.
Highway,
Yeah.
and that's 2.
Yeah. And they're both in District 4, right?
And then you might.
That's why I said 2 per
I've had a
district.
call about potentially 1 in Haddock, and I said, we're going through the ordinance. Just
Yep.
stay tuned.
So I think your zoning will dictate a lot, because when you get into
You gotta have
C1,
commercial.
C2, C3, you're very limited.
Sure.
And I don't have the county map in front of me, but you guys are more familiar with it than I am. But
We got one right here.
Well,
C3.
And I mean,
C2.
he's right, you can always add more, but if you allow too many and then the whole county's full of liquor stores, y'all can't really take
That's
it
why
away
I think
at
we
that
need to
point.
start it out slow.
We
Let's
can
do
always grow it.
4.
Yep.
We can always come back, or the
I
next.
When
don't,
they're all
I don't
in
think
that
it's fair to the 2 business owners in my district to limit it, because we know somebody in here in Gray in this area is gonna have it. I think it's fair that they're on one side of the county, on one side of the district, and then the other group that's at Gray Highway should have an opportunity.
Well, I may want to put one on Highway 49 and 18.
You got the historic stagecoach place.
I'm not selling it out of the house, come on now.
I think we get to 4, we could increase it if needed.
Sure. Start with 4 and then go from there, based on the zoning.
That's my vote.
Okay, so just sort of a general consensus.
Consensus for-
What are you at?
4.
4.
No
No
more,
limit per district.
no more than 4.
Yep,
Okay.
4.
4.
8,
29.
8, 2 per district.
Yeah.
What we may not have time to get to is looking at, well, we can talk about the drive-through. 'Cause I know
Drive-through.
you wanna get to the drive-through.
Drive-through.
And then we need to look at zoning.
What's your thoughts?
Drive through,
I
absolutely.
think drive-through, I could be wrong, but I think drive-throughs are safer. I mean, you can close and lock those front doors at 8 o'clock, and only traffic you have is coming through your drive-through.
All right. John?
I'm not a fan of the drive-through.
Sam?
I'm not a fan of them. Not saying they're not used, but I think there's too many opportunities to have
I'm
stuff
not a
go
fan
wrong.
of drive-through either. That's what I was trying to get at.
Would that cause you all problems with the security? If,
No, we put that in there so the register would have a camera looking at eye level of whoever was in the,
Yeah.
so it would be a requirement that they have an extra camera there.
so tentatively, we're at 3 no, 2 yes. So tentatively, we'll put no, and if you change your mind, we can change
Okay,
the
we
ordinance
can do
before
that.
y'all approve it.
All right, what else do we need? Oh, the zoning.
Yeah.
It was either C2, C1 or C2, what, with a variance, that was,
And if you go to page 55 and 57, there are some notes there from Tim. 55 discusses zoning.
it would be C1 neighborhood and C2 general commercial.
So, yes, C1 is if it can be allowed at all commercial, a broad allowance, and then, or the restricted allowance is his suggestion number 2 there.
Do you know your zoning?
Y'all C1?
I have no idea. I
Oh,
mean, right there, I'm everything, I guess, from C1 to industrial.
okay,
Yeah.
49,
Okay.
the mall at 49.
Okay.
You been to the mall 49, ain't you?
Yes. I was just trying to picture where he's telling us about.
Yeah.
Dirty Dingus McGee's.
Which, you know, operated with beer and wine and struggled for 20 years and then went out of business.
They had good food there.
Neighbor to poor.
Do y'all have any thoughts you want to think about number 1 versus number 2?
We don't have a lot of C2. C1's all, I mean, C1 commercial would, I'd be just about willing to bet y'all are C1. And that's gonna be the majority.
I read these as two totally different things. One is basically saying if you sell other stuff in that zoning, then you can sell package sales, which I think is what the voters voted on, was to be allowed to sell alcohol, packaged distilled spirit. So if you can sell something in there as a commercial sales, I don't see why we would restrict it. Then we're going against what people voted on to have sales. The second part of this is not eligible for renewal if nothing's been sold there in the last year. So if you open a liquor store and you don't open the doors on it for a year and you go to renew it, they're not just gonna renew your license because you're not doing any business there.
I think part of that too is the limited permits. You know, you've got to figure out, you're gonna have a race to get permits.
Right.
And how quickly does someone need to begin to operate their business to actually utilize their permit before it's relinquished to somebody else?
Yeah, because I know it's gonna sound crazy, but if one person
Get
built
3.
3 of them and decided not to open the doors on them, and then built the 4th one, guess what?
They can type
So
on
y'all are
the slide.
C3?
According to this information from the county, we're C3, the whole shopping center.
Which is,
That's C1 plus C2.
You didn't have to take your shoes off.
I didn't, that's what I figured it is. So Tim doesn't designate, it just says
You looking at 57 or 55?
57.
Look at 55.
55 actually shows,
He suggests either number 1 or number 2.
No, I don't think it.
well, what's 3?
I think that's like
Can we not call
industrial.
Tim? Call
What?
Tim.
Is that like industrial?
Oh, me.
It's so you can have a variety of commercial uses. Like in real estate, I normally deal with C1s, maybe
Mixed.
C2s, but C3 is the mix.
Is the mixed.
Yep.
All right, I got it, call it Tim.
Yeah, so C1 is a neighborhood commercial district.
I got your speakerphone at the work session. We got a question on your, we got C1, C2, and then C3. Was the, Genesco Shopping Center's C3. What makes it?
No, Genesco C2. The only thing, we got very little C3, that's the adult entertainment district. I think the only thing that's C3 in the county
He's up here dancing now, he's getting ready to.
there's a little piece across the street from where the bypass runs into Gray Highway. There's a little piece of C3 there. That's about it.
All right, it shows,
And down at PDS Printing, there's a little C3 down there too.
all right, it shows C3 on his record, so. So,
What record?
he's looking at the county records. Mr. Barron's here right now.
No, if somebody's not in my office looking at the zoning map, they are not looking at zoning.
Okay, okay.
That's
for tax purposes.
It says right below
Is
that.
that Q Public? Okay, all right, that's what it is. All right, we got you, thank you.
So
All
you
right,
had
well-
the question between C1 and C2,
Yeah,
right? As
yeah.
far as if he had a suggestion
In
on,
his, the suggestion on C1 to C2,
where
C1 is the
to,
neighborhood commercial zoning district, so it's smaller stuff, convenience stores, bicycle shops, that kind of thing, bakeries. C2 is the general commercial district, covering everything up to Walmart. So just to get us, what's allowed in C1 is allowed in C2, not vice versa.
okay. All right, well, did that answer everybody's question?
Yep.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
do you have a particular area you want to ask him about? I know y'all have been mentioning,
Anymore.
okay. So
Well, most of Haddock
C1 or
is C.
C2?
Most of Haddock C2.
I think most of those places we talk about are probably
Right.
C2.
C2,
They're not
right.
neighborhood
Right.
commercial.
Needs to be more restrictive, like in the second
Sure.
mentioning here in this paper.
I don't think either corner of Joycliff, either end of it's gonna be C1.
They're
Right,
gonna be
but
C2.
I want y'all to be careful in not establishing an ordinance to cater to where you think somebody
No,
has already
that's
told
right.
you they're gonna open a store.
Right.
Well, not catering, but just being realistic about what the opportunities
Right.
are.
But
'cause
there
those are-
may be
right.
other locations that
Right.
you all would be, that would be perfectly acceptable.
Sure.
And I don't want you to think, oh, well, so-and-so's called me, they're gonna plan one here. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I'm looking at more of a neighborhood commercial. I wouldn't wanna see one that's got a convenience store, but there's nothing but houses on
Right.
all four sides of
Right.
it.
But,
Such as Creekside, straight across from Greenswell Board.
See, what would be wrong with Creekside?
Cause I think that's gonna be a Gray Highway, that's gonna be C2 corridor, that whole corridor C2, isn't it?
You think Creekside is
It ain't
C2?
gonna be in Creekside, it's gonna be on Gray
No,
Highway.
Creekside store.
Yeah, I think everything on Gray Highway, I'm pretty sure is C2, right? Except
all right, we
for
can do
the
some,
high-
we can
except
do
for
some
the-
research on that and then do
Yeah.
a consensus on that.
Okay, so that's something we're still thinking about.
All right. Anything else we need to?
I mean, there are
More
more, but
questions,
you're
huh?
out of time.
Sure.
So
All right.
at least this gives us a good start. I'll tell you all very quickly, the things in yellow are what's in the ordinance now, but it's just, probably needs to be, we need to look at and do some tweaking too, that just doesn't flow the way it should. Jason said he highlighted those in yellow. So,
Shannon,
Just
can you
kinda tell you.
email this to us?
Jason sent it out on Thursday.
Okay.
All right. Anything
The
else?
red are the changes. I'm sure you can figure that out, but. And then a lot of the others, the strike-through portions are just to clean up. This ordinance in general needed a lot of cleaning up.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
All right, I can get a motion to adjourn
So
for
moved.
about 10 minutes and then we'll start the meeting. We appreciate y'all coming on your input.
Second? Second.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor, aye?
No.
I'm working on a thing, keep me straight.